All right, everybody. So for our first assignment, we are going to be making a color wheel, and we are going to be going over a value scale and a gradient scale and the difference between the two. The reason why we're starting off with color wheels, well, I love colors. Ironically, I'm wearing a gray sweatshirt, so it's not very colorful at all. But our first project, and some of you did touch on it, that you had a friend in the class, and that we really go heavy with reviewing colors, because I think that's very important, getting that solid foundation down, and then also some line work. So the first step to making the color wheel, and that's the first thing we're going to do, is make that color wheel, is I want you to get a big circle to trace and a small circle to trace. Okay, the big circle shouldn't really be any much bigger than this. Okay, Gatorade caps, water bottle caps, quarters are probably too small, so don't use that. You want something a little bit bigger than that, so it's nice visual. But you don't want to take a bucket or a bowl. That's way too big. Okay, so a top to like vitamins could work too. If you have some cans in the red can, you don't mind rinsing it out and using the top for that, that's fine as well. Kind of the bottom of a soda can could work as well too, for your big circle. But you need a big circle, so I have my big circle right here, and then I have my smaller circle. This is for my allergy medicine, actually. So I got a big circle and a smaller circle. All right, the big circles are going to be our primary and secondary colors on the color wheel. Okay, the smaller circles are going to be the tertiary colors, the in-between colors. So what you're going to do is you're going to take those two circles that you are going to end up tracing, and you're going to take a piece of paper. I just used the back of a scrap piece of paper. It doesn't have to be clean. If you have something left over in your folders from school that you're not using anymore, just use the back of that. Save the trees. I like save the trees. So I got the back of my piece of paper, and I drew a color wheel. It's not really a wheel, but it's good enough. So I have my big circles. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 big circles, and those are my primary and secondary colors. Primary and secondary colors. Okay. Then I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tertiary colors, smaller circles. Okay. And we'll get into the primary, secondary, tertiary a little bit later. Right now, we're actually going to go over the primary and secondary. So it's a little weird, because normally I would just ask this question and students seem to know the primary colors. However, the primary colors are, if you don't know them already, these three guys right here. Okay, yellow, blue, and red. All right. The reason why they're primary colors is because you can make any other color by combining these colors in any way, shape, or form. So, for example, I feel like I'm on Blue's Clues right now. What two colors could this make? Orange, right? All right, so what two colors? Let's see, what two colors does this make? Green. Okay, so that's why these three people right here are the primary colors, because they can make any other color. Okay, and then these are the secondary colors right here. Okay, your orange, blue, and green. On the color wheel, these are always on color wheels. You sometimes see more colors because some color wheels have more tertiary colors than other color wheels. But your general color wheel that you've probably seen in your elementary classrooms are these 6 colors right here, with probably some tertiary colors as well. Okay, so remember, primary, secondary, secondary, primary. All right, these are the big circles. Okay, these are the big circles. Your primary and secondary are the big circles. So the way I want you to do it is, I'd prefer you go counterclockwise, because that's how most color wheels are. However, you can go counterclockwise. It does not matter which direction you go. So I know I said I prefer, but it doesn't matter. So you're always going to start off with yellow at the top. Okay, my color wheels always have yellow at the top. So we go yellow. And then again, you could go this way or this way, does not matter. So if you have yellow here, I'm going to decide to go counterclockwise. Orange is the next big circle. Red is the next big circle. Purple is on the bottom. Blue is over here.
Yep.
And green is up here. And then you would get back to yellow. Okay, so yellow, orange, red, purple, blue, green. All right. I'm going to pause for 1 second. I'm going to color them in myself. And then we'll come back and talk about the tertiary colors, those in-between colors. All righty. Don't freak out because my color wheel is completed. All right, just going to draw some circles right here as an example. Where's my big one? Where is my big circle? I'll just use this cup. Okay, so this is kind of like a zoomed in view, I guess we could say. All right, so I have the luxury, I didn't do it for these two circles, but I have the luxury of, the first thing I want you to do is to color in your primary and secondary colors, okay? Remember, your primary are yellow, blue, and red. They make like a triangle, and then so do the secondary colors. They make a triangle. Secondary colors are purple, orange, and green. Primary, yellow, blue, and red. Secondary, purple, orange, and green. All right? Color those in first. You could also look at it as you're coloring the big circles in first. Okay? After you're done with that, then you go back and you color in the smaller circles. But the thing with the smaller circles, they're the tertiary colors. And just like they are in between the big circles, which are the primary and secondary, they are in between colors. So this one's not the best example because it's kind of hard to see the difference. However, you may be able to see the difference here. Okay, this is kind of like a green yellow that I put here, and this is a yellow that I put there with that as the green. Okay, so I have the luxury of having a lot of color pencils that I'm able to use. Some of you may not have that luxury. For doing this, I suggest using crayons or color pencils. Marker, you will really try to stay away from marker. If you have color pencils or crayons, both would work fine. Okay, so say here I have, let's go with yellow. Just going to color half of it in yellow so I don't take up too much time. And when you're adding color, make sure you are, staying in between the lines. I'm rushing right now to kind of get this done. Should have planned ahead a little bit better. And then over here is my orange. Do this one better. And just a little tip, I always like to color with a couple pieces of paper underneath, just because I feel like the soft surface allows the pigment to come out nicer. It's just preference, but you could do that if you would like. So these would be my, yellow is a primary color, this is a secondary color. So we're kind of zooming in on right here, and we're going to make this by blending the colors, okay? So if you do have the luxury where you have a bunch of different color pencils, right? So I have these two colors right here, and then I could just take this one, which is kind of a mixture of yellow and orange, right? So if I was to add yellow to this orange, I'd get this color. So I could technically just color this circle with this color, okay? That yellowish orange. What's the name of this? This is Norana. Oh, orange, light orange. I was reading the Spanish of it. Oh boy. So what you can do if you don't have that luxury is you're just going to simply blend the colors. But when you blend the colors using color pencils, especially crayon, it's important that when you apply the first color, you do not press too hard. Okay, so I'm going to use yellow first. So when I'm using that yellow, I'm pressing it nice and soft.
If you press too hard, then it's going to get very, very waxy, and it's going to be hard to blend the two colors. So that's why it's important that we do not press too hard for that first color, right? If you have white knuckles, you're pressing too hard. You want to be nice and soft. This is what your hand should feel like. Just hold the pencil. Pencil's falling out. Go nice and soft. After that, same thing. Apply just the same amount of pressure as you did for the yellow with the orange. And now you can see how that's blending the colors. I need to go back over with the yellow because right now it's not doing the best job blending, but that is expected. Okay, so I'm trying to stay in the lines, make it nice and neat. And now I'm going to apply just the yellow again, but I'm going to press just a tad bit harder. And I like to go in a circular motion when I'm doing this coloring. And then I'm just going to add some more orange, nice and light. I'm not pressing hard right now, I'm pressing light just to make it as even as possible. Okay, and now you can see how that clearly, that tertiary color is a mixture of this yellow and this orange. Okay, so again, if you don't have the luxury of having all the colored pencils and having those tertiary colors in your colored pencils kit, then practice blending. Okay. However, if you want to practice blending regardless, or you just like the way it looks better, then you can do it by all means. You don't have to use the colors. You can simply just take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and with those 6 colors, you can make all these circles, right? So you kind of have a couple options. Well, if you have all the colors, you have a couple options. If you don't have all the colors, if you just have your base colored pencils, then you would have to be blending. If you have the colors as I have, then you have an option, whether you want to blend the colors for your tertiary, those smaller circles, or if you want to just take a whole new color pencil. Okay, so that is the color wheel. Your color wheel should come out like this. Now the last part of your color wheel, I'm throwing a lot at you right now. However, you could rewatch this video as many times to hopefully help you understand. We are going to map out 2 things: complementary colors and analogous colors. Okay? So first thing, complementary colors, it's kind of 2 for 1. And I want you all to do this on your paper as well. With your red color pencil, you are going to draw little loopy lines to your analogous colors. And as simply put, analogous colors are just simply, that's my oil burner going off, I'm sorry. Simply put, analogous colors are colors that are next to each other on the color wheel. And analogous colors can be a little tricky because yellow and yellow-green are an analogous color, but then yellow and green are analogous colors as well. Oops. So what I would like you to do is I would like you to put a checkered line, one, going to the big circle to the small circle for an analogous color, and then a larger checkered line on top going to the other analogous color. Okay? Analogous colors are colors that are next to each other on the color wheel. Okay? A lot of the times color wheels are presented without these tertiary colors. That's why I am still saying yellow and green are analogous colors, but yellow and yellow-green are also analogous colors. So moving down to the bottom of the color wheel, blue and purplish blue are analogous colors. So I'm going to put a small little checkered curvy line going to that. But blue and purple are also analogous colors. So I'm going to put another checkered line on top going to that. And I just want you to do that for everyone. That way you know the smaller checkered lines are analogous color and the big checkered lines are analogous color. So I'll do it right here. Small, purple to red are analogous colors. Red to red-orange is an analogous color, and red to regular orange is an analogous color. Orange to yellow-orange is an analogous color, and yellow to orange is also an analogous color scheme, okay? And you would also do green to greenish blue and blue to green, okay? Analogous colors. Colors that are next to each other on the color wheel. Now, we have complementary colors. Now, complementary colors are colors that are colors, said colors about 5 times in that sentence. Colors that are opposite each other on the color wheel, okay? Those are complementary colors, colors that are opposite each other, all right? However, there's only one way to be opposite with each other, okay? And this, it's kind of hard because it's not a perfect circle. When it is a perfect circle, it's easier to understand. I will make a diagram with a perfect circle and post it on the assignment, so it's a little bit easier to follow, because right now this can be a little bit difficult. But I will post that just so you understand. But the first complementary color, it's not necessarily first, but the first one I'm going to talk about is yellow and purple are complementary colors. Blue and orange are complementary colors. What New York Knicks teams are blue and orange? I'll tell you right now, they're the worst New York sports teams, the Mets and the Knicks. Also the Islanders. I'm not really a big hockey fan, but the Islanders are those colors as well. So orange and blue are complementary colors. And then green and red. Ooh, I pointed to red and said green. Red and green are complementary colors as well. And what holiday can you think that uses red and green as complementary colors? Christmas, right? Also, stoplights are green and red, and yellows too. So for the complementary colors, I just want you to draw a straight line with the red colored pencil still, or a red pen, Sharpie, whatever. You remember we had the checkered lines for analogous colors. Now we're just doing solid lines for the complementary colors. Okay, so I'm going to take my colored pencil. You don't have to make them touching. That's one complementary color, purple to yellow. The next complementary color are those bad New York sports teams. Blue to orange. And then Christmas. Green to red. And if your lines don't intersect perfectly, that is fine. I'm a little crazy, so I'm going to make sure mine does. Alright, so now you know that all the solid lines are pointing to complementary colors, and all the checkered lines are pointing to analogous colors. You may wonder, well, how come this isn't a complementary color? That is because they do not have two colors in between them, right? So, more than two colors actually, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So, however, you know, if you wanted to get a little more complex with it, do not draw any more lines than this. But if you take purplish blue and yellowish orange, those could be complementary colors. If you took yellowish green and purplish red, those could be complementary colors. But we're not going to worry about that right now. When you get this far on your color wheel, you will be good to go. Okay? And next up, I am going to show you the value scale and the gradient. So, just draw 2 rectangles out, nothing crazy. And once you draw those 2 rectangles out, you're going to put a value scale in one and then a gradient in the other. And it's pretty simple stuff. The value scale, you remember when we hear the word value, you know, if I'm talking about a work of art and I say, look at the value in the work of art. And we're not talking about money, we're talking about the areas of light and dark and all in between. Okay, so you have white and black and then all your like mid-tone grays. Okay, I have this whole kit of graphite pencils that are automatically, so this 6B is darker than is lighter than 7B. I'm not going to get too much into this, but just wanted to show you this. You know, you can also get colored pencil. You can get regular pencils that have different shades in them already, and the more hard the graphite in the pencil, the lighter the shade will be, and the softer the graphite, the darker the shade will be. So there's H's and B's. H's are all the light, so if you take a 3H, that is super light, and if you take a 3B, that will be super dark. And the higher the number, the darker or lighter the graphite is. I just like to tell all my students that. I'm not gonna expect you to have that. That would be crazy. But you all have your regular colored pencil, okay? So to create this value scale, I just simply like to start by taking a little piece right here, pressing nice and hard, and I'm not too worried about keeping it in the box for this part of the assignment, because this could be a little bit tricky. So just do your best. I went out of the box immediately, not a big deal. So I have that dark area, okay? And now I need this dark area to, when it gets to here, it needs to be almost white. And I do that by just changing the pressure I'm applying on the pencil, okay? So right now I'm pressing really hard, and just do one little line first, just so you can kind of see what it needs to look like. So I'm pressing really hard right now. Still pressing hard. I'm lightening up a little bit. That same pressure. Now I'm going to start to lighten up even more. I'm just barely scratching the paper. And now I'm like not even applying any pressure to it at all. Just kind of scraping the paper. And you can see already how that's getting dark to light. And now I'll just go kind of fill in the areas that I missed. Try to do so by applying less pressure, and then if you realize it's too light, apply more pressure. It's better to apply less pressure than too much pressure, because once you apply too much pressure and you erase, it's really hard to get it back to white. So just apply light pressure, and then if you need to go back and make it darker, you can go back and make it darker. Okay? Applying light pressure, it's looking about right. And you just keep going till you get all the way to when I was just barely scratching the paper. I'm going all the way across. I'll just finish the bottom half and then move on to the gradient. You see, it's not the neatest, but you know, it still, you get the sense of value, which is what is more important. That's why I'm not really worried about staying in the lines right now. Just make your rectangle. I made my rectangle 4 inches long. That might be a good idea for you as well. Anything less than 3 inches, it's going to be hard to see a nice range of value. So try to make it about 4 inches long. I have a ruler, or you can just, you know, eyeball it. Just kind of make a rectangle yourself. It doesn't really matter, okay? So a value scale is areas of dark areas and light areas with one color. So you could also do a value scale with purple, right? I could have extremely dark purple right here. I'll do it on the side. I would have extremely dark purple right here. Lighten up my pressure until you can barely see it. You don't have to do this. I'm just letting you know that a value scale is showing ranges of dark areas and light areas within one color, okay? So shadows are a perfect example of value. However, gradient, the thing that is different from a value scale and a gradient scale, is gradient is one color being blended into another color. Okay, so what colors do I want to use? I'll use orange and red. So to start off my gradient scale, I'm going to make one side one color. And before I go any further, when you make a gradient scale for this assignment, I want you to use analogous colors. So remember, analogous colors are colors that are next to each other on the color wheel. Try to stick with your primary and secondary colors. Don't worry about tertiary for the gradient. Okay, so you could pick red and purple. You could pick yellow and green, blue and green, but do not pick yellow and purple. Do not pick purple, red purple to red. Just kind of stick to the primary and or secondary colors. Okay, so that's why I'm using red and orange. Start off by making one end nice and red, making the other end nice and orange. Do not apply too much pressure so it becomes waxy. You do not want to do that. Stick with medium pressure. Okay? And then just kind of simply on each end, and again, don't worry too much about going over the line, but you're going to apply that medium pressure all the way with each color until you get about to the middle. So I'm going to apply it all the way over, get into the middle, stopping, and then I'm going to take my red and do the same. And again, I am applying a medium pressure. I'm not pressing down too hard because then I will not be able to blend my colors. Medium pressure. If you can still see the white paper, you're doing good. If you can't, you are applying too much pressure. If it's looking shiny, you're applying too much pressure. Okay? So boom. Alright? And now, just like we did with the, where am I? Just like we did with the tertiary color right here, we're just going to blend the colors. They're not all the way over to the side, right? So if I want to blend orange into red, I want the orange to stop about right here, okay? So I'm going to go over an orange. I'm applying a little bit harder pressure now. And then I'm just going to stop there. And then I'll take my red, apply more pressure on red, and then go over that orange area. Okay, so you can see now how it goes from red to orangey red to orange. But now I want to fade the red into the orange as well. So again, applying medium pressure till about halfway over right here, then I'm going to stop. And then I take my orange, and now I want to make that orange area darker and go just over to where I stopped with that red. And now you can see how it goes from red, orangey red, to a little bit more orange to orange. All right. So the two main differences with the values in gradient is value is shades of light and dark with one color. Most of the time it's black and white. Gradient is when you take one color and you fade it into another color. Okay, so that's the biggest difference with the value and gradient. All right. So that's all you need to know for now. If you have any questions, please let me know. And I look forward to seeing these assignments, right? It's some basic stuff, but it is important for a project. So when you hand in your assignment, just take a picture of this, click, take a picture of this, click, and then go to the assignment section. In the top right corner, you'll notice that it says your work. Go to add or create an assignment, and then you'll just upload those images that you had taken, okay? And then I'll take a look at them, and we'll move forward from there. Alrighty.